Welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rochelle, where Fitness Friday is always the best day of the week. Gotta love it. Folks, I am so excited to kick off this new series that you will continue to see in 2021 and beyond, and that is Positive Pointers, where I'm going to laser focus on an aspect of fitness, whether it be home-based fitness. In this particular episode, we're going to be talking about membership signups and cancellations. And so just to provide some practical tips and advice as you move forward during your fitness journey. So I'm so excited to kick off this episode by talking about such a contentious, controversial topic, such as particularly membership cancellation. So we talk about membership, signing up for any type of, whether it's studio, gym, any type of app-based membership. You have to be open, and I've talked about this a number of times in various episodes throughout the year. When I asked about what your relationship is with truth, how comfortable are you with people being honest with you and telling you the truth, and I wanted to lay the foundation of this episode by highlighting, and I've talked about how mentors, and I've talked about this actually for years, highlighted various people that have mentored me in my life. And so, but what I wanted to point out, and it's certainly applicable to my own fitness journey, is we've got to be open to people telling us the truth. You've got to be open to people telling us the truth. And a couple of weeks ago, when I highlighted Rochelle's fitness adventures, my outdoor fitness adventures in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I highlighted a couple of individuals who really gave me some wonderful mentoring, coaching, and just wonderful advice on personal safety tips, and just all of those type of things. But see, I had to be open. I had to be open to hearing that, because I think part of the challenge is for people who've known me a long time, they've been able to see the growth. They've been able to kind of see things play out and see me progress and things like that. But for many who don't know me, you just kind of see me on these episodes, and some people may think, well, man, she's really got it together. And so that's why I always like to point out is that what you don't see, what you haven't seen, is the wonderful people that have crossed my path and just given me such wisdom and advice and pointed out my blind spots and my vulnerabilities, and even just from a personal safety standpoint. Well, yeah, I was, dropping all of these tips, a couple weeks ago, but what you didn't see was when I first moved to Detroit, and I was actually in pharmaceutical sales at the time, and I was on West Grand Boulevard in Detroit. So I had a mentor at corporate. This was when I was with Novartis Pharmaceuticals. Had a mentor at corporate who's actually from Detroit. And I remember being on the phone with my mentor one night. It was a weeknight, and it was dark, probably about a little bit before 7 o'clock. So I was heading into an event, walking down the street on my phone. And I so remember my mentor saying, Rochelle, where are you? And I said, said to where I was, and I was heading into this event. Okay, Rochelle, you need to hang up this phone right now and focus on your surroundings. It's not a good idea to be in a situation, a high crime area, and you're distracted, you're on your phone. So I wanted just to give you that quick example to show you that people have pointed out my own vulnerabilities. And a big one for me, and this applies, and it's when we talk about membership cancellations, this is something I really had to learn. And I've talked to you, and I've mentioned throughout the last few years, I had some wonderful attorneys that have just given me wonderful advice and tips, but also pointed out my vulnerabilities from a legal and a contractual standpoint, and this is true with me from a personal safety standpoint, and why I just was really vulnerable, early on, and had some people kind of coach me and mentor me in that area, and legally, because my mindset is I was not raised to be distrustful, to be suspicious, to question people's motives. My perspective is to trust people, and me just naturally being positive and optimistic and seeing the best in people. I realize, and I just, particularly some attorneys have pointed that out to me, just wonderful, just various types of attorneys, but particularly those from my Northwestern Alumni Association, and those who graduated from the Northwestern Law School. And I remember one in particular pointed out and said, you know what, Rochelle, you were just the sweetest, most positive person, and you just always believe the best of people. And you know what, we have a term for people just like you in the legal field. And I remember saying, and what is that? And this person said, litigants. Because you're going to end up in court because somebody has done you wrong, and now you've got to take some type of legal action against that particular person. But I've learned, and now I can look back in hindsight and see that, particularly in contractual situations, where if I've had the vulnerability of going into a contractual arrangement, believing the best and trusting people, and always assuming that people operated from a point of integrity, believing people, I'm not perfect, but I strive daily to have strong character and integrity, and just credibility is something very important to me. But I learned, kind of from people coaching me, is that there's a lot of people out there that don't operate that way. They will take advantage of people without thinking. From a personal safety standpoint, there are people that will rob somebody without thinking twice about it. And so I had to kind of shift my own mindset to get more balance in that area of just complete total trust. Because I had growing up, wonderful childhood, wonderful parents, still have wonderful parents. And so I just had that vulnerability of always believing the best, because I had wonderful experiences with people and wonderful experiences growing up. But I just learned, particularly contractually, like you gotta protect yourself, in various, from a personal safety standpoint, obviously, but also from legally and contractually, and things like that. If you're always going into a situation believing the best of someone, assuming they have your best interest at heart, many times that is not the case. So I've had to learn these lessons, folks. So I just, you come onto these Posi-TIPS and you hear me say these things, but for those who don't know, there's been a lot of growth. I've had some wonderful people tell me the truth, make me a better person, make me stronger, make me smarter and wiser. And so that's why I wanted to lay the foundation for this episode. When you think about the challenges that people have, particularly around canceling memberships, and it's just something simple as, did you read the contract? I mean, with all due respect, within the fitness industry, and particularly people set these New Year's resolutions, and I want to lose weight, and they get super excited, and I'm gonna join a gym or some type of studio or fitness facility, group training studio, whatever it is. People get excited, the emotions kick in, but in those emotions, particularly when you're talking about entering contractual situations, signing contracts, those emotions can kick in where a person may not be thinking straight, or believing, hearing what they only want to hear, and just things like that. And so just kind of step one is we gotta read the contract. And if you don't feel comfortable signing a contract right away, take it home. Ask, can you send me a digital copy of this? I want to take a look at it. Or if you know attorneys, I want to have somebody take a look at this. But we've gotta, I think a lot of times it's easy, they did me wrong, or this something happened, and what is played out is within the contractual agreement. So we've just got to make sure that we're really paying attention in that area. So I wanted to just point out my own vulnerabilities and growth in this area. And so when you think about, we're going to really kick this thing off, 2 buckets, joining and canceling. So bucket 1, joining. And I mentioned the emotions kick in, and people get excited, and these New Year's resolutions, and I'm going to do this and this and this and that. But you've really got to think about what is important to you. What is important to you? Now, this is going to be tougher, and what I mean is from a fitness facility standpoint, or working with a trainer in a group fitness class. What is important to you? And so, obviously, someone in my case, I've been on this fitness journey for 26 and a half years now. So, just my depth and breadth of experience, I know myself very well, and I can tell you what I like in a situation or a particular facility, and what I don't. It's easy for me to assess those type of things. But if somebody's a novice, they're a newbie, it truly is a point of trial and error, of learning your likes and your dislikes as they relate to a facility, as they relate to a trainer, as they relate to a group fitness class, as they relate to a modality. There's some people that are just doing extremely well with app-based workouts at home, obviously during this coronavirus pandemic, but there are also people that are saying, oh my goodness, I miss the gym, I miss the people, I miss the motivation that I experienced just having other class members next to me, and us all really, making things happen together. And so it's just a matter of knowing yourself. And as you've heard me say many times over the years, during these Posi-TIPS, from a fitness standpoint, I am a loner. I don't like to be bothered during my workout. It's as harsh as that sounds. That is my me time. It has been my me time from day one. I'm incredibly protective of that me time, but I know what works for me. I just know for me, I've never done a group fitness class, and people love that, but for me, it's just like I want to be alone. I'm highly intrinsically motivated, so it's very easy for me to just get up and get moving on my own and things like that. But for people who may need that motivation, that's a wonderful thing. So this isn't a point of one way being right, another way being wrong. It's all about finding out and discovering what works for you. So particularly for newbies, it's going to take trial and error. Joining a gym, perhaps you just don't like it, something isn't quite right, and you gotta listen. Even with signing up, with joining, what is your intuition telling you? Is there something? Do you have kind of a little check in your heart, in your spirit, saying something's not right here? Are they pressuring you? Are they strong arming you? Are you feeling controlled and manipulated? Folks, that is a sign. And unfortunately, those type of things happen when you just got to be truthful here. I myself have a sales background, so I have credibility when I say this. When you have desperate salespeople, in many cases in the fitness industry, who have not been formally trained on the sales process. And so for them, it's just about, I got to get numbers. I got to get numbers. I got to get numbers. And that's why this whole concept of member signups and not necessarily the most honest, above board tactics have not always been used, have often not been used when getting members to sign up to various type of facilities, and that those type of actions have dogged the fitness industry for years. I mean, it is almost, it's almost, you just hate to think about just how the industry itself overall is taking such a huge hit because of that. Dishonest actions on behalf of a number of people across fitness entities, and it's just been a very big problem. So if you're feeling pressured, back up, be assertive. Obviously, but a lot of people don't feel comfortable being assertive in those situations. Just say, you know what, this isn't for me, and just walk. And just, don't let anybody pressure you into doing things you don't want to do. Don't let anyone strong arm you and manipulate you. You deserve better than that. You deserve folks that are going to interact with you on a fair, honest level. But it's up to us when we're interacting with people to know that we deserve good things in life. We deserve, and we must, in some cases, demand, honesty and integrity in situations. All right, because your motives, you got to understand. In many cases, if there's a salesperson, whether you're talking about somebody selling cars or someone selling gym memberships, where people are on commission, they're commission based, and their ability to feed themselves and pay their bills and their families on the line. It can present some type of, sometimes, not always, obviously, this is not a broad brush generalization, but it can just create some tension and some stress in those situations for those individuals, for those salespeople. So we've got to go in my case, what I'm always very big on doing, particularly in contractual situations, not even in contractual situations, I'm very big on doing my research. I've kind of used that term, relentless researcher, Rochelle, and it's very true. I like to go into situations and interactions with people knowing my stuff. So I do a lot of research beforehand. I notice you have these specials, this offer, what's going on here. I notice you do this. And so I like to go in armed with information, because knowledge is power in those instances, because that way somebody's ability to pull wool over your eyes in various scenarios. When you come armed with information and you're assertive, people will interact with you differently. But if you go in blindly, if you walk into a gym or any type of fitness facility just blind, or do people do that and it works out well for them? Absolutely. But all I'm saying is, you do have the alternative. You do have options where Google is your friend. You can Google that facility, look at the Google Plus, the regular Google reviews. I'm thinking Google Plus from a few years ago. Google reviews, Yelp reviews. What are people saying? What are people saying about that particular facility? And look for patterns. If you've got multiple people across a set time period saying the same thing, there's probably a great deal of truth to that. There's a great deal of truth to that in many cases. So just know your stuff as much as humanly possible. You may be a novice and you may be intimidated by the whole process. You can reach out to someone that you know who may be really big into fitness or has been on this fitness journey for a long time. You can reach out, but also YouTube videos. You can Google whatever fitness question that you have. How do gym contracts work? I mean, you can Google and learn so much about the industry, how things work, some of the good things that have happened, but also from a contractual standpoint and people trying to cancel memberships, but also things that have worked well and things that have not. So knowledge is power. I'm always going to say that. Knowledge is power, but you got to think about what works for you. What are your values? What is, and I can tell you, just based on this coronavirus pandemic, I know when during the next season and the next chapter of my fitness journey, where I go from all home / indoor to a hybrid of home, outdoor / gym, I can tell you that the next decision that I make, the next gym that I choose, is very values based. I'm really, it's just been very interesting where I'm looking at, how does this particular entity do things? How are they responding to the coronavirus pandemic? How are they responding to executive orders and gym closures? Things like that. I'm just evaluating all of those type of things. It's just very values based. So it's just think about, how do they treat their members? I mean, you have to determine what is important to you and what works for you. And so you've got to, do you value accountability? Are you really serious about your weight loss goals? All right, and so if you end up in a place where, again, a trainer does not want to challenge someone for fear of rejection and losing that client, that is a very big issue for people. So they won't challenge their client. They'll just continue to let that person not lose a pound, and I've seen it, and I've seen this, I've observed this with my own eyes, people working with trainers for years and making absolutely no progress. And I can't put that all on the trainer because it's a 50-50. That person has to do their part in terms of diet and exercise too, but there's just that fear of rejection on behalf of a trainer, to not want to challenge that person, to really get moving and to really make a concerted effort to achieve results. So you've got to think about what's important to you. And so that's about it from a membership sign-up standpoint. You got to think what, and I mentioned values in terms of, how do they charge? How are memberships paid? Do you prefer monthly installments? Do you prefer paying in advance? And I shared with you when I first moved to Novi, my first gym was actually Fusion Fitness, and then I left there and then went to Bally. Bally recruited me it was $99 for a year, and it's just so sad. But that was an example from a pricing standpoint of how Bally Fitness was not sustainable. Just that pricing model, deeply discounted. And I remember thinking at the time, I got this Bally's membership for less than a Planet Fitness membership. And so, but I joined Fusion Fitness and I paid for that year in advance. Harold was a salesperson. He's probably still now. Obviously, Powerhouse bought Fusion Fitness from Paul Wright. And so bought that membership. Harold was a salesperson. He's probably still at Powerhouse. Good guy. Bought that membership, paid for that membership in advance. In advance, it was $360. I remember that. So pay for that in advance. And so when we talk about membership cancellations, being able to pay in advance like that, whether it's cash or check or whatever the case may be, just in terms of avoiding potential financial exposure in the event that your membership is not canceled and you have problems, which happens to a lot of people in the fitness industry. So that is just an alternative. If you were concerned about, billing not being right, or you try to cancel, you've had bad experiences where they've not, fitness facilities have not canceled your membership, as you indicated, that is an option for you. Can I just pay in advance? Can I just pay cash? Well, that way you don't have to provide any financial information and there's no financial exposure in terms of any type of billing errors and cancellations that don't happen, which happens to people across the industry. It's just quite unfortunate. So that is that. And so that's all I wanted to highlight on the sign-ups aspect of the equation. You've got a lot of options. Take a look. You got group-based fitness classes, you got group-based fitness studios, you got one-on-one training like Fitness Together. I mean, there's just so many different options. You got gyms, you got commercial, private, community. Just know from a sign-up standpoint that you have options. Don't ever forget that, folks. Inside the fitness industry, during your fitness journey, and outside, you always got to realize you have options in life. You always have options. Don't ever forget that. And so I want to segue now on into the cancellation, the juicy part of this Posi-TIPS episode. Cancellations. What a problematic black mark that has dogged the industry. Cancellation challenges have dogged the fitness industry for years and years and years and years and years and years. So particularly problematic because what you have is a profit motive. When you break it down, you have a profit motive on behalf of a studio, facility, training, whatever the case may be. You contrast that, so battling and contrasting that with an individual who just wants to be done, who wants to leave a trainer or a training situation, a fitness facility or studio, community center, whatever the case may be. So you got that profit motive versus someone trying to leave and that is going to end the revenue from that particular person's departure. So just a lot of tension there, a lot of problems, and things are not always handled appropriately. And so I want to highlight three of my most recent examples here, just starting with Nova. I can't go back 26 and a half years, but I will say I've had nothing but a very good experience in terms of joining gyms, canceling. I've been a member of different types of gyms. So I've got a nice breadth of experience in that area, in just terms of community oriented facilities who are subsidized by taxpayers. And again, so that profit motive is not what it would be at a purely commercial type of studio or facility. So you just got, I don't have time to get into all of that, but you just got various models, business models, and how entities are structured and financed, and how people are, how are the bills paid essentially in a facility that impacts what goes on in a particular facility. So I want to highlight what I mentioned. Fusion Fitness, joined for a year, stayed for a year, and it worked out well. So left there was Bally had this irresistible offer. So joined Bally, had a wonderful experience at Bally. But what I want to point out is June 2012. So I remember walking up to that facility, walking up to the door, and there was signs. There was a sign, obviously 2 glass doors. So there was the 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper on both doors, just as essentially saying, hey, the gym is closed, as of effective whatever the date was. It had to be probably the day before, so it just closed. I'm sure the staff knew it was coming, but it was a total surprise in that situation. And so I had paid for that $99 in advance. So no problem, good to go. It was great membership, great gym. I really, really like Bally. And so left there and joined Powerhouse. Many of us did. And many of those folks, I'm sure to this day, are still at Powerhouse. So you've got a lot of folks, particularly Bally Fitness had a lifetime membership option. So I remember when I was a member of Powerhouse here in Novi, a lot of people that came over, a lot of us came over from Bally, but many of them had lifetime memberships at Bally Fitness. And you had trainers who came over to Powerhouse who were training people for years, but also group fitness instructors who came over. So you've got a cluster of people at Powerhouse Gym in Novi that are incredibly loyal. That many of them, work out in small groups together, walk around the gym doing laps together. Bally's had a little inside track, and so there was just that loyalty that existed there. And so left there, joined because LA Fitness bought out Bally, and LA told us, hey, you can go to our different locations. For me, the closest location at the time was Southfield, and it's like, do I really want to drive that far? And the answer was no. And so joined at the time, it was Powerhouse Gym. And so joined Powerhouse, yada, yada, yada. Long story short, ended up eventually saying a charge. LA Fitness charged me for the next year. When the membership ended and after the acquisition took place, LA charged me for a year. Now it had gone up to, I think it was $149 or $150, which is still great for a year-long membership. But they had charged me that fee, and I remember saying that because I was at Powerhouse and whatever, and this is what I'm saying, we really got to think, and I don't mind pointing out my own mistakes in these type of scenarios. So I thought to myself, hey, LA bought Bally no longer exists. I was a member of Bally. That's it. There's that. From a membership standpoint, it's over. I'm done. I'm gone. I didn't decide to go and transition over to LA. It's over. Okay, so that was a mistake on my part, just assuming, from a billing standpoint, from a cancellation standpoint, it was over. No, I needed to formally notify LA Fitness that I was done, and I did not do that. and I did not do that. I made the assumption that it would be over, that it would be done. Didn't happen. So they charged me whatever, so I had to eat the loss, obviously, because contractually I did not cancel. I did not formally cancel my membership. And so, but to rectify that, make sure that it didn't happen again, I sent a certified letter. I sent a certified letter to Irvine, California, sent it to LA Fitness headquarters, and just stated, cancel my membership, don't charge my card again, yada, yada, yada. Never had any more problems. And then to this day, I have no issues with LA Fitness. I will join LA Fitness in a heartbeat. So there's no bad feelings or I felt misled or cheated or anything like that. No, I have to take responsibility. I'm big on that. My part of the equation is I did not formally cancel my membership. I made an assumption that since my entity that I was a member of no longer existed, they're going to take care of it. Nope, didn't happen. So I wanted to highlight that. So we can't make assumptions when it comes to cancellations, and particularly from billing standpoint. We can't make assumptions that people are just going to do things because in my opinion, hey, the right thing to do is I'm not a member of this entity no longer exists, but no, contractually when LA took over that, when they bought out Bally, they were running with the ball. I needed to do a formal cancellation, so that was that experience. Number two, want to highlight my Powerhouse Gym cancellation. And so had this so this was Tuesday, July 11th, 2017 at 10:07 p.m. So I sent this, and I've still got this on my Gmail. It was in my all mail section of Gmail, went back and found it. So sent this, subject Powerhouse Novi membership cancellation. So I sent it to Novi at powerhousegym.com, Michael Davish, who was the owner's son, Lori, who was the manager, and I CC'd myself. So it says, hi, I hope your week is off to a super start. Please cancel my membership effective immediately. I want to avoid being charged for another month as my account is debited by ABC Financial on the 15th of each month. Please circle back and confirm my cancellation ASAP. Thanks. Best, Rochelle Smith. And so I sent this to a number of people. And so when we think about, we're canceling memberships. I mean, it's important to do things, and just again, this is just some wonderful attorneys that I know have just given me documentation. People just not having any type of documentation or proof. People relying on verbal cancellations, and they don't get anything in writing saying that the membership has been canceled or the membership cancellation will take effect in a certain amount of days, and 30 days, which is pretty common in fitness industries. They want a 30-day notice. And what I didn't realize at the time when I canceled my membership is that Powerhouse actually required a 30-day notice. But I'm happy to report that she honored, the manager, Lori, honored my request and canceled my membership effective immediately. And so I sent this, and so I was, just done with this situation. I sent it to a number of people. But it's very important to document, to document what can you get in writing, and even if you don't have anything, or you go and you talk to someone. But I just think that people get in a lot of trouble just, once again, somebody walks into a gym and says, I want to cancel my membership, and the person says, okay, goes on their computer, clicks on a button, or pretends to click on a button. All types of stuff happens. Okay, you're all set. We'll take care of that. And then 6 months later, they're still getting billed. And so it's from a cancellation standpoint. If you don't get anything back, because I didn't get anything formal confirmation that your membership has been canceled, in this type of scenario. My community-based gyms, absolutely. I had to sign a form. It was a 2-part form, and this is actually in a couple states. 2-part form. I got the bottom yellow copy, confirming that my membership had been canceled as of whatever date. And so did not receive a formal confirmation, but did not have any issues. With my cancellation in this part. And so when you're talking about cancellation, particularly documenting, and this is really going to come into play when I talk about my Planet cancellation, you can't, you've got to be pretty clear on your decision to cancel the membership. It's got to be pretty clear, because if somebody were to read this, ultimately you have problems, and you potentially have to take a legal action, and you don't want to leave any wiggle room and any vagueness in terms of, is this what the person wanted? Do they really not want this? What are they really saying here? Be very clear on what you want to do, what the result you want to be in terms of membership cancellation effective this date. I understand there's a 30-day policy, and make the cancellation effective on X date. All right. And so whether you deliver that to a person, in person, deliver a letter, deliver some type of notification. A number of gyms require a letter in order to cancel your membership. If you don't do it in person, do it by sending a letter, a certified letter, or whatever the case may be. And so did not have any issues with that membership. And so I want to spend some time talking about the Planet Fitness membership cancellation. So did receive a formal membership cancellation or freeze form dated the 22nd of this year. And so it was in Louisiana when I typed this letter up. And so it's September 17, 2020. So it sent it to my Planet Fitness in Commerce, Michigan. And so it just simply states, very short, very curt, to the point. Hello. As per Planet Fitness cancellation guidelines, I'm submitting this certified letter to request you cancel my membership since I am unable to do so in person. I am working out at home and will not have any gym membership at this time. Thanks in advance for your help with this matter. Kind regards, Rochelle Smith. So sent this from the post office, certified. It's going to cost you a little bit to send it certified, but you also get proof of delivery with certified letters. And I actually took the extra step of getting return receipt, where they send the postcard and it proves that someone signed it, in the date that they signed it. So this is an extra step that I highly recommend that you take, because if there are ever any issues, with you canceling your membership, you need to have as much physical proof as possible of what you wanted done, what your decision was, what your request was, but also that it was received. If you send a letter, you just mail a letter to a facility, put a stamp on it, and the person can always say, we never got it, we never saw it, and that's the kind of stuff commonly is said. But you gotta protect yourself. You gotta cover yourself in these situations. Have as much physical documentation, and this is going to be moving forward. I'm always going to do this type of stuff. So this isn't anything against Planet, nothing. I had a wonderful experience. I had a wonderful cancellation experience, no issues. But I'm just saying that legally, and in terms of canceling memberships, if you don't want to have a lot of problems, you got to protect yourself in these situations and take the extra steps to make sure that things are done well and done right. So I received my membership number, Rochelle Smith, the club name, club number, date of request, 9/22/20. And it says cancellation and freeze rules, employee name, and all of that kind of stuff. So was glad to get this, receive this via email. Very soon after the return, this was signed. So it was very, very nice. I appreciate their honoring my request that way. And so, but let me back up. And you notice how short and curt my email was. Hello, let me read it for you again quickly. Hello, as per Planet Fitness cancellation guidelines, I'm submitting this certified letter to request you cancel my membership since I'm unable to do so in person. I'm working out at home and will not have any gym membership at this time. Thanks in advance for your help with this matter. So let's take a look here in terms of what I said. So number one, I knew what the cancellation guidelines were. So do you know when you join? Do you know what is required to cancel a membership at that studio or at that facility? Do you even know? This is where a lot of people get into trouble. Okay, there may be a certain timeline. They want a certain notice. They want a certain number of days notice. It's got to be done via certified letter. There's just various entities have various ways of canceling. So you need to know your stuff when it comes to what the guidelines are. So I followed the guidelines. I was out of town. I was actually in Shreveport, Louisiana when I mailed this. And so, in another thing, since I said someone's unable to do so in person, I mailed this. But let me give you another quick pointer here, is that if you're a type of person that does not like conflict, that struggles with conflict, does not like confrontation, I would suggest you don't do it in person. Obviously, I've grown over the years in terms of my ability to be assertive and not have any issues with conflict and confrontation, but I used to be such a big people pleaser. And so the thought of me going in, and I've done it, and it's interesting because I've canceled memberships in person, but you may be in a situation where you are at a hardcore gym and you look at Google reviews and it shows that people, it is a nightmare cancellation experience in terms of what they do and the hoops that they make you jump through. And a number of people you read on those Google reviews, for example, a lot of people have had problems in that area, and you just know you don't feel kind of comfortable in that situation. Bring someone with you who may be more assertive, or do it in person, because you gotta, do it, via certified letter or via mail, all right, because you have to understand where, when you think about canceling something, and you think about somebody's a source of someone's revenue going away. Many places don't make it easy. We're not talking about even just in the fitness industry. It can be a challenge canceling some type of service or anything like that. It'd be a lot of hoops you have to jump through, or the billing may continue, and just this is so problematic for people. So you just have to know, if you decide to go in person and do that, and you're the type of person that folds when you face resistance, when you go in and I want to cancel my membership, and then all of a sudden they're strong arming you and giving you all these reasons why you can't cancel, and trying to turn your no, I don't want to be a member, into a yes, I do want to be a member, and they're pressuring you. If you're not the type of person that handles that well, you gotta just do it via mail. I mean, that just will keep it simple for you, but it would also get the job done, move things forward in terms of getting the job done and protecting yourself, while also not putting yourself in that situation where you have to deal with a situation that may be high conflict, where you're trying to cancel and they're giving you these reasons why you can, and it's just not a good situation. And this happens to a lot of people inside and outside the fitness industry. So I'm just being real with you, just trying to give you some practical tips on things that you can do. If you're a people pleaser, gotta think about your own strengths and weaknesses and how you handle these type of situations. And another thing I want to point out here is what I said and why I said it. I am working out at home and will not have any gym membership at this time. And so as I pointed, and there's a reason why I said that, versus I'm going to be joining a gym again in the future, or I'm just taking this time right now to work out at home and I'll be back in gyms at a later date. I did not leave any room for ambiguity. Remember I told you from a legal standpoint, just the wonderful legal attorney mentors I've had, there's no room for ambiguity in this. I did not state that. Leave open the door, because what happens is when you do that, if I would have said something hypothetically like, at this time I'm working out at home, but we'll be rejoining gyms in the future. Okay, what does that mean? What does that future mean? A few weeks, a few months, yada, yada, yada. And what that does, that slight ambiguity in that type of situation can lead someone to draw the conclusion or make an assumption. Maybe I should freeze her membership. And again, this is any fitness entity, not Planet, just all of them, that can send a message that maybe we should just freeze her membership and not cancel it. All right? And then a lot of people get burned with that. A lot of people are trying to cancel memberships and then it gets frozen, and then all of a sudden they get charged again, start getting charged again. Just a big mess and a big nightmare that happens a lot in the fitness industry. I was very clear, and there's a very reason why I chose those words. All right? I don't want any gym memberships at this time. So I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to be done. This isn't a matter of me wanting to freeze a membership. I want to be done. I want to cancel this membership. Because as I've stated before on the episodes, I've talked to a number of people about this. I feel very strongly about this personally. Is my biggest pet peeve in fitness is people having memberships that they're paying for and not using. And so that was 2020 was not going to make me fall into, with all due respect for people who join and have best of intentions of working out and are doing all these things and never going and not going and never stepping foot in the gym after they join online. No, that's not me. That is not me. That will never be me. And so I hold very strong and fast to that principle, that personal principle of mine, that personal value. And so when you look on my cancellation form, the reason why I wanted to just mention that really quickly is, and it says cancel reason. So it's request effective date, cancel reason, last bill date, first bill date after freeze, if applicable. So cancel reason, and it has coronavirus. And so when I saw that in the email, and I said, again, the way I worded my letter, not having any gym memberships at that time, because that was my commitment to be done. There's no room for ambiguity. And so as a result, it gave the impression that because of the coronavirus, I don't want to have any gym memberships. I'm not going to be working out in any gyms, yada, yada, yada. Whereas on the surface, the coronavirus prompted me to buy things and have my own home gym here, Rochelle's Home Fitness Center, which you guys have heard so much about this year. The cancel reason is not, based on my letter and how I had to protect myself to cancel and to make sure the job got done to cancel, yes, it may seem like the coronavirus is it, because the coronavirus was the initial prompt for me this year to do that. But the real reason, and that's what I was thinking from a marketing standpoint, I was hoping they were going to send me some type of follow-up survey, from corporate, with just requesting more information. I've gotten a number of those in various entities outside the fitness industry in the past, just requesting more feedback, and I would have stated, my real reason for cancellation is, Pre-Core, I mean, you know that's my favorite machine. And so my plan this year, of course, with all of our plans have gone awry with this coronavirus pandemic. My plan was on May 17th, I was going to be doing a Fitness Friday video at my new gym on a Pre-Core EFX or next to a Pre-Core EFX. And so I was planning to have my formal reunion with my favorite machine during my fitness journey. So that didn't happen, but I just knew that, you know, any entity, you know, 2020 and beyond, any entity that does not have a bare minimum, a Pre-Core EFX, cross-training elliptical is just not in my future. Yeah, I may go and, you know, on a guest pass or something like that, or I'm traveling or something and I end up in a situation where there happens to be one, but from a membership standpoint, Pre-Core EFX was my favorite from 2000 to 2017, and then 2020 and beyond for the rest of my fitness journey. I want my Pre-Core EFX. So that is the real reason. And so I think from a marketing standpoint, you know, many places when you cancel, they want to know, and they can categorize that. They can say, okay, this is how many people. We can look at such percent of people canceled for this reason versus that reason. But I wish I would have gotten some type of email or something like that requesting additional feedback, because I would have stated, like, no, you know, Pre-Core, I really wish that Planet, you know, would kind of expand their Pre-Core offering in the gyms, because, you know, if Planet, you know, would have had Pre-Core, you know, if I would have had that, I would still be a member. Or it's just that something from a value standpoint, as you've heard me say, you got to know what you like, what you don't. I mean, I miss my machine, and I'm grateful to have it when I'm on the road at the Hampton Inn in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, as you all have seen. But so when people cancel, if at all humanly possible, you know, when they're canceling or after they cancel, you know, reach out to them, find out what exactly, what happened, why did they cancel? Well, you know, what is the real reason? Because sometimes, like in this particular case, this is the surface reason, the coronavirus. But the real reason is, Pre-Core. Yeah, Pre-Core EFX. I'm ready to return to my regular fitness routines, and the Pre-Core EFX is certainly a big part of that. It's actually at the heart of that. I miss my machine. It's been 3 years since I've had that. More than it's been 3.5 years. And I've had that since I've had that as a regular part of my workouts, and so I'm so excited during the next phase of my fitness journey to return to that, to have that as part of my fitness cardio machine arsenal. And so, folks, that is it. But a wonderful cancellation experience with Planet. I've just had a very, very good experience. But I told you about the mistake that I made with LA. So we're human. We all make experience. I'm making mistakes. But experience is the best teacher. Sometimes things not going right is what teaches you, what empowers you to not make that same mistake or let the same thing happen in the future. And so, folks, we've got to always make sure during a membership sign-up process that we are taking responsibility for what we're signing. Do we know what we're signing? Have we read what we're signing? Do we understand what we're signing? And what is the process for canceling if things don't work out? And there's a couple of, and then when I talk about from a documentation standpoint, you need to have, you know, what you sent, who signed it, who did what, but you know, in paper or email, text, whatever the case may be, what can you show from a documentation standpoint? Because there's a couple of entities that can help you if you should ever run into some big time problems with cancellation. And there's people that have complained, and you see it all over the country from various entities where people they're still being billed 6 months later after they tried to cancel a year later, and they're getting turned over to collections, and just all of this type of stuff that just stuff going on in the fitness industry that makes the industry look horrible, and it just continues to happen. And I can only imagine now with the pressures that this coronavirus pandemic has placed on the fitness industry now, I can only imagine it has become even tougher with many entities to just freely allow people to cancel their memberships. But there's a couple of entities, such as the Better Business Bureau, that are resourcing. I'm going to leave you with a couple of resources. The Better Business Bureau can help you, but once again, you need to have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. You got to have some documentation, you know. Even if you did it verbally, who did you talk to, when, what time, what did they say? And I'm I'm a naturally highly detailed, as you all have watched this episode, you know this by now. I'm a highly detail-oriented person. So I'm always bringing my A game to any type of situations, but I haven't had any problems. But if you have any problems, Better Business Bureau, also your state attorney general's office, you can file complaints online. And these are two resources that will help you free of charge. But just recognize with the Better Business Bureau, if you see people that have made complaints on those, sometimes the gym owner or the manager or the fitness chain, whatever, doesn't even respond to those complaints. So you'll see it's kind of this person complaining about what happened, and then there was no resolution to the complaint that was filed with the Better Business Bureau because the person or the gym or whomever just ignored the complaint. But just recognize, and you go the avenue of a attorney general. You file a complaint with your state attorney general. They're going to get some action. They're going to get some action. They're going to get some responses. And so just know that those are resources, but you gotta have your stuff together. You can't just say, okay, well I said this and I can't remember who I talked to and I really don't know what day it was, and you've gotta have your stuff has to be together. Your stuff has to be together legally. Okay, I mean, you're dealing with an attorney general's office, or you hire an attorney, or whatever the case may be. Make their jobs easier by having your stuff together, showing what steps you've taken, what have you done, do you have documentation, do you have proof of what was said, done, what you requested. Did you leave a lot of room for ambiguity where it would be very unclear for anybody to determine if you wanted to cancel or if not? Don't leave any room for ambiguity. And so folks, these are some lessons that I've had to learn, and I'm just so grateful for the wonderful people that have come in my life that made me stronger, made me wiser, because when you go through life, and it's true, I'm a very positive person, I'm very optimistic, and I always see the best in people, but now I have balance, much needed balance in that area, and it's just helped me tremendously, because I told you when that fellow Northwestern alum, that law school graduate told me that, yeah, you got a name for people just like you, Rochelle. We call them litigants. I was like, so it was funny, but it was also, it was a good dose of reality, a good dose of truth that I needed to hear. What can I do? How can I take responsibility in these situations for not just going in blindly assuming people are always going to do the right thing and be people of integrity and honesty? Not happening. So I just challenge you to do the same. I'm sure many of you watching this, you may have been burned in this area, you may have had some problems and challenges in this area because you've trusted people and have been burned and whatever, you've had a lot of problems canceling gym memberships. Folks, we've got to do our part in each and every aspect of life. Whether we're talking about joining a gym or canceling a membership, we have to do our part. Let's take responsibility to do what we need to do to ensure that when the thrill is gone, like that old blues song, when the thrill is gone, you have taken the necessary steps to do things appropriately and in accordance with what that particular facility or studio or community center requests, based on their own guidelines. Let's make sure you're doing things the right way, at least on your end. You can't control what another person or entity or chain or gym does, studio, but you can control what you do. And so folks, let's just all do our best to be wise. We're human beings, we're gonna make mistakes. But experience, we learn from those mistakes. We learn those mistakes teach us more in many cases than certainly if we were to read something in a book or to hear someone else deal with the same experience. Certainly, yes, we can learn from others' experiences, but sometimes it's going through it ourselves where where the rubber meets the road. So joining memberships, think about what's important to you, what your values are, what you really need. Do you need the motivation? Do you need a trainer that's going to hold you accountable? But sadly, there are many people that want a trainer. They don't want to be challenged. They want to be told what they want to hear. They want to just go in there and have the philosophy of, I just want to do what I want to do and just pay this person. Hey, if that works for a person, then hey, as long as that's part of that person, what they want to do, then hey, they're paying for it, that's their money. But if you want results, you need to look for a place that is committed to helping you achieve results. All right, So just think long and hard about what you value, what's important to you. Be willing to do the trial and error, make mistakes, and learn. Okay, I've been in a lot of gyms in a lot of different places over the years of different types of facilities. And so, like I said, I've got the breadth and depth of experience, but I was open. I was willing to be open. And so you've got to be open. You've got to be open to change. You've got to be open to perhaps if you're failing in fitness, doing things differently. I've tried to do it this way. What can I do differently to ensure a different outcome for 2021 and beyond? What can I do to do things to ensure things are different for next year? Because folks, you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be healthy. You deserve a wonderful fitness journey experience. No journey is ever perfect, but certainly we can do the best we can and do our part to make sure that we are committed to living healthy, happy lives, folks. That's truly in our hands. Let's control what we can control. And so, folks, that is all I have for you today. It has been great. I look forward to what is going to be my final episode for the year. Where has this year gone? But I've enjoyed launching this, kicking off this positive pointers type of series that you will see more of these episodes that will fall within the positive pointers type of series, where I just give you some practical tips. I'll give you some practical tips. And so next week, I cannot wait to close out the year with that episode. But until then, remember, I am positively passionate about your fitness, health, and success. Folks, make it a great